Significant development in Liverpool's search for Jurgen Klopp's successor, and Feyenoord head coach Arne Slot has emerged as a leading candidate.
Yeah, Sky Sports News understands that the process is not a foregone conclusion, with the Dutch club determined to keep him and other European clubs being interested in Slot too. Now we can speak to our European football expert Andy Brassall now. Good morning to you, Andy. I mean, tell us about Slot and why it is that you think he's at the front of the queue to replace Klopp.
Well, he's no surprise, I think, to other Premier League clubs. Of course, once he won the Championship with Feyenoord last season, he could have come to the Premier League last summer. Tottenham were very interested in him. He decided to stay at Feyenoord, I think partly because he knew what sort of nick Ajax were in. Of course, they've had a terrible season and he thought he could maybe repeat, reckoning without Peter Bosch's PSV, who've been brilliant. And I think if you look at Feyenoord's points total and the way they've played this season, in any normal season, they are winning the league again this season. But the PSV have been absolutely outstanding. They have won the KNVB Beker, the Dutch Cup. And, you know, this is a guy who's got a consistent record of success and playing attacking football over a number of years. In the COVID season in 1920, he could have easily won the league with AZ had the league not been brought to an abrupt halt. Of course, no Dutch championship was awarded in that season. And I think that idea of redeveloping teams, of working with younger players as well, is something that really chimes with Liverpool at the moment.
And in terms of his tactics, and also, I suppose, from a media point of view, the way he is in news conferences, how does he compare to Jurgen Klopp?
Well, I think the way he wants to attack is something that would really appeal to Liverpool fans. As we said, someone who always wants to make his team find a way to put pressure on the opposition, to press, to score goals. They do that in Europe as well, where they've been knocked out by Roma, who they've developed an interesting little rivalry with over the last couple of seasons, in the last 3 European campaigns, including in the Conference League campaign going back a couple of years. So they only really get beaten by the best or close to it. In terms of the Kloppness, well, no one's quite like Jurgen Klopp, of course, in front of the media. But Slot is no shrinking violet at all. And we've seen this in those Roma games when he's come face to face with Jose Mourinho, upset him and not back down.
How big a step up do you think this is from the Eredivisie to one of Europe's top 5 leagues? Erik ten Hag, the obvious comparison, but how do you think Slot would do?
Well, I think Premier League clubs have known he would fit here well for quite a while. I think, you know, the Premier League has moved more towards possession and front foot, and so it's probably the right time for Arne Slot. Of course, there's a gap, but it's different to being a player, I think, Ellie, because, of course, he has better players at his disposal as well. And I think if you look at Erik ten Hag, his last 6 months at Ajax, something that's never really talked about is Ajax had a ton of defensive problems in that last 6 months. And even when Erik ten Hag was doing pretty well with Manchester United last year, in some of the defeats, they really bottomed out, particularly defensively. So it suggests that some of those issues are something he hasn't really worked on, whereas Feyenoord have pretty much the best defensive record in the Eredivisie, and they have done over the last 2 seasons. So in terms of those sort of issues, he's not really bringing anything with him.
We know that Liverpool job's going to be available in the summer. OK, that's common knowledge. There may be other jobs available in the Premier League in the summer. We don't know that yet. But is there any obvious head coach or manager around Europe that maybe we're not talking about that we should be talking about, specifically for Liverpool, but also for other clubs?
Well, I guess, Tom, the major one is Ruben Amorim that we haven't been talking about over the last day as the agenda has moved to Slot. You know, he's a terrific coach. I think you look at his record of success, which is outstanding, really, doing something similar to what Liverpool have done with Manchester City and being sporting and competing with a better financial power, a bigger financial power in Benfica. He's flexible. He has that human side that really connects with players as well. And the other one really has to be Paulo Fonseca of Lille, who were really close to knocking Villa out of the Conference League. And that would have been terrible, obviously, for England in the coefficient going back to last week. Fonseca's been amazing, really, for Lille over the last couple of years. Really succeeded with Shakhtar before, taking a homeless club to 3 successive titles and success in the Champions League. Again, another brave front foot coach who's very modern, who connects with players on a different level. I would expect to see him turn up in the Premier League at some point soon as well, out of contract with Lille at the end of the season.
We'll keep an eye out. Andy, great to speak to you. Thank you.